Pressure fighters are misunderstood. Often seen as little more than unskilled brawlers, some of history's greatest boxers have been pressure fighters. Men like Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, and Aaron Pryor were at their best, pushing their opponents around and marching them down with powerful, aggressive counters. And personally, they're usually my favorite boxers to watch. It may be a bit soon to put Monty Meza-Clay alongside the Pryors and Durans of the world, but his is a scintillating style to watch, and one of the best examples of technical pressure fighting in the sport today. Let's break down Meza-Clay's most recent win, as he works to come back from some tough setbacks in his last 5 years as a professional boxer. This is Monty Meza-Clay, One Man Swarm. Early on in the fight, Meza-Clay's opponent, Alan Herrera, made it clear that the uppercut figured heavily into his game plan. Not a bad course of action against a shorter fighter whose style uses lots of bobbing up and down movements. But Meza-Clay, just like Joe Frazier against Muhammad Ali, quickly caught on to the weaknesses in Herrera's punching and used his predictable strategy against him. It started with a clean right uppercut. Eating punches is never fun, but this one gave Meza-Clay some valuable data. Namely, that every time Herrera pulled his upper body back and placed his weight on his rear foot, he was looking for the uppercut. And that when he did throw the uppercut, his head stayed in place, a ripe target for a counter. So now, Monty needed to draw the uppercut out and counter it with his money punch, a short, tight overhand right. It didn't take long. Let's watch that one again. First, the fighters trade jabs. Both men pull back, and Meza-Clay waits to see if Herrera will spring back forward with a right hand. When he stays put, Meza-Clay realizes that Herrera is waiting to counter with the uppercut, and launches into his overhand. By shifting to his left hip, Monty manages to slip the uppercut while connecting with his own punch. Now both fighters follow up with the left hook. Meza-Clay shifts hips once again, this time pulling his weight back to his right, while Herrera's upper body and head remain static. And though Monty doesn't manage to get entirely out of range, his hook is undeniably the cleaner of the two, damaging and defensively responsible. A potent combination. At just 5'2" with a wingspan to match, Meza-Clay is almost always at a severe reach disadvantage. Opponents do not, however, find it easy to keep the half-Mexican slugger at range. You'll often hear commentators talking about a fighter taking a certain punch away from his opponent. This means not only rendering the attack ineffective, but making it a liability for the opponent to throw. Meza-Clay is excellent at neutralizing his opponent's jabs, but what makes him such an excellent pressure fighter is the fact that he goes one step beyond neutralization, and answers every stiff jab with even stiffer consequences. Watch as he systematically punishes Herrera for using his jab in this sequence of aggressive counters. Monty starts by marching Herrera down, slipping from one side to the other to make his head a difficult target. Herrera opens himself up with a reaching 1-2, but Meza-Clay doesn't pounce just yet. He wants Herrera trapped in the corner. Next, Herrera touches Meza-Clay with a jab and circles out, but Monty quickly counters with a jab of his own, timed perfectly to stop Herrera's circular movement away from that corner. Herrera is forced into a position in the ring from which he must open himself up to escape. Meza-Clay prods at him with his own jab, and Herrera starts to feel the pressure. He sticks out his left hand, hoping to create some room to circle out, but Monty slips inside this half-hearted jab with a right hook to the body, before rolling under a left hook and returning to his starting position. Now Herrera feints with his right hand, but Meza-Clay refuses to back off, instead preparing to defend the punch where he stands. Herrera throws his real attack, an upward jab intended to knock his aggressive opponent onto his heels, and Monty easily slips it, following up with a counter cross to Herrera's exposed temple. Finally, he takes a step toward Herrera and goes to work with body-head combinations on the inside. Watching this fight, One gets the impression that Herrera is a scrappy fighter who planned to go against his natural inclination and attempt to outbox Meza-Clay. By taking away his jab, Monty managed to force Herrera back to his usual habits, and by the latter rounds of the fight, the two were battling it out almost entirely on the inside, where Herrera's considerable reach advantage was negated. What makes Meza-Clay such a fascinating study is his defense, more specifically, his use of his hips to evade and counter punches while moving forward. This one skill, hip movement, is what really sets a fighter like Meza-Clay apart from your average run-of-the-mill swarmer. Defense is what turns a brawler into a technical pressure fighter. In fact, watching Meza-Clay in reverse is very much like watching a slick boxer or counterpuncher fighting off the back foot. These hip movements, which shift the upper body up, down, and from side to side, give Meza-Clay respite when he is hurt or tired, or both. With such a high-energy style, the ability to simply stand in place and make the opponent miss is critical. Monty's defensive acumen saved him on a few occasions in the later rounds against Herrera. To contrast, take a look at the movements of Herrera's body when Meza-Clay finally managed to crack his iron chin in the 10th round. Stiff, awkward movements that stem from the back and legs. There is little to no hip movement going on here, which means no efficient ducking or slipping of punches, which ultimately means a justified referee stoppage. It's impossible to say if Monty Meza-Clay will break through and turn into a serious contender in the lightweight division. At 33 years old, this is probably his final chance to make a run to the top. But he and his team are taking the right approach, slowly building Monty into a tiny terror for anyone at 130 pounds. Defense, counters, and intelligent aggression. That's how you turn a single boxer into a one-man swarm. If you enjoyed this video analysis, please take a moment to click like on the YouTube page and share the link with your friends. For more in-depth looks at technique and strategy, subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, and check out BadLeftHook.com and BloodyElbow.com. Thanks for watching.